welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today's episode, we're talking about looks matter. So I'm actually filling out a grant right now for content creators because got to have money to run the show, right? And one of the things they're asking is, well, what do you want the money for? And I genuinely believe one of the main things holding back the Gamerpreneur, other than the fact that I've kind of been on a little bit of a hiatus because of working on a client, has been the graphics on my content, right? And I don't necessarily mean just my show. My show is one thing, but what about all the other content that I'm putting out there? If someone sees my content, are they going to stop scrolling long enough to actually check it out? And I don't think so. And why? Because I have an interview show, and I'm not drawing people in from elsewhere, from other content to enough to come and watch the show. And so that's my issue. But it got me thinking, what about you guys, right? You guys are out there and you have some sort of business, whether you're a content creator, you have somebody making a social media company for gamers, or you have some sort of competitive betting kind of thing, right? I've interviewed hundreds of people. I was counting up 350 different people on the show. And then in 2 years, 350 people in 2 years is a lot of interviews. And what I've come to terms with is, when I started out the show, I told you, and I still genuinely believe this, that it's more important to get it done, not pretty, because you have to put something out there. If you don't have something, then you got nothing, and nothing is something that the algorithm will not care about, right? The algorithm is going to just trash you if you don't put anything out there. So you have to have something at the bare minimum. Put something right there, get it done. Okay. No matter what kind of business you're starting, you have to get something out there because that's the only way you're going to know if it's going to work out. So say you have a real business, maybe you're selling gamer chairs as an example, okay? And you're sitting there I got an idea for a gamer chair, and you start making this gamer chair, and you start talking to people about the gamer chair, and you start doing all this stuff, but you never actually try to talk to a customer or try to sell your gamer chair to anybody. Well, if you go 3 years of talking to people and designing and trying and reiterating and building the perfect gamer chair, and at the end of those 3 years, you finally put it out on the market and nobody wants it, that failing is on you for not knowing what the market wanted, right? You have to put yourself in a situation where your content, your product, your service is out in the market, whether or not you feel it's ready or not. Because there's this thing called the technology adoption curve, okay? And it's this big old bell curve kind of thing. And the vast majority of people on that bell curve are never, ever going to buy your thing right now. Okay, maybe in the future, after a couple of years of exposure, think of Bitcoin. Are you invested in Bitcoin? If you're not invested in Bitcoin, I got to ask, what else does it take for you to get invested in Bitcoin? Because 10 years ago when this stuff was starting, it was a few bucks each. It's now 50,000 each. You could have been a multi-millionaire if you'd got in back in the day, right? The point I'm trying to make is, way back in the day, there were people, this very small section of the bell curve at the very start, who are I am totally all in right now because this looks awesome. Your thing that you're putting out there, that you're selling, that you're looking to market and make money off of and turn into a business, same thing as Bitcoin, more or less, right? It's a product that has to go through the rigors of the market. And so some amount of people at the start of that bell curve are going to want your thing as soon as they see it. Doesn't matter really kind of how ugly it looks, doesn't matter how great it is. Some number of people are willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and are willing to dive off and try that. So you have to check. If you cannot get anybody to buy it after marketing and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people see your thing, that's a problem with your product. It could be a problem with your messaging. I mean, you should tweak your messaging as you're doing your marketing. But if you just cannot sell the thing, then it's an issue with the product. Now, let's say you have something that sells, okay? But it's not selling that well. Well, if that's the issue, it's looks. At that point, you need to make it look pretty. I call this the makeup principle, okay? Say that you have, a person who's just absolutely gorgeous. And I don't, man, woman, non-binary, I don't care. The person's actually, drop dead gorgeous. Okay. If they are gorgeous without makeup, I know, everybody on this planet knows that if that person puts on a little bit of makeup in order to cover up or whatever, right? That person's amount of gorgeous increases. Somehow something that's already beautiful can become more beautiful. All right. But if it's ugly, I'm not talking about people now, I'm talking about your products and businesses and services. Okay. If it's ugly, you put some makeup on it, now it's beautiful. All right. Because you've probably seen those videos on Instagram of people who start out as like, ugh, and then they put on makeup and you're like, hey, they don't look bad. And then they take it off and you're like, ugh, again, right? Same thing. You have to find a way to dress up what it is you're selling. Think of every advertisement you've ever seen on television, if you even watch television, right? Or on YouTube or on Twitter, the videos that you watch, those ads. Somebody took some time to put it out there. Now, you've also probably seen other ads that just don't look so good. What makes people want to buy from the good-looking ad as opposed to the not good-looking ad? I'll give you a hint. It's that it's good looking. The fact that something is good looking makes people think more highly of it, regardless of whether it's the same exact thing. Okay, you can be selling the same exact product. One ad looks better than the other. The better ad's going to sell better simply because people attribute something to looks, whether that's value, whether that's commitment, whether that's, whatever. People attribute better qualities to things that look good. All right. That's why I'm going to say is generally, okay. Generally, better looking men do better in business. And that's because people attribute skill, knowledge, wisdom, something to them that they may not possess, but people actually base their decisions on looks. All right. We're taught as children, don't judge a book by its cover. However, everybody does. It's just the way we work. They've done research on this. You have something like 2.5 seconds to make a first impression before somebody's opinion of you has been locked in forever. Okay. How are you ever supposed to say enough in 2.5 seconds to be able to convince a person that you're smart and you've got wisdom and that you're capable and all that? You can't. There's no way. Your looks matter. All right. People have known this for thousands of years, that if you can dress yourself up a little bit, then you can actually get farther in life. Same thing with your business, same thing with your products and your services. If you can present them in a way that looks better than they currently do, even if they already look good, if you can find a way to make it even better, then you will be able to sell more. You'll be able to go farther, make more money. All right. So looks really do matter. It's not like this complicated principle. And for some reason, people get stuck on this. And I understand why, I got this done, not pretty. I've turned it a little bit more pretty as I have gone along, but even still, I know it's not the best looking content. I really could, and I'm planning to just crank it up as soon as I can get the funds here in this business to do so. And so I want to say, and if you feel like you're being held back somewhere, check this. Go to Twitter, right? Go to Twitter and people will let you know what they really think of it. And if the majority of people who are following you say, oh yeah, I really could look better, these are people who follow you. Maybe believe them. If it's a bunch of random people who are like, then you can't really tell. Random people don't matter. It's your purchasers that matter. Okay. If maybe do a survey, what do you think of the packaging? What do you think of the presentation? How can we improve? The only way to know how to treat a market better is to ask the market or give them product and then see what works. So there's things that you can do. Just don't do nothing. Nothing is the worst thing that you can do. So on that note, I'm going to remind you all, organization is the enemy of sloth. Take the time to do this, okay? Once you are up and running, once you're selling something, even if it may not be a lot, start shifting over to the looks department because looks matter. They matter so much, almost more than anything. I wish I actually sat down and read the full study. I read a brief on a study that was discussing this in business, and better looking products sell better. I wish I could remember. Anyway, you have to take the time because your business relies on it. And maybe you're selling a game. Your game, I've had lots of game developers come to me. I've gone to lots of game developers too. I've gone back and forth. And they show me what they have, and they're so proud of it because, this is our 4th game that we've made. And we're really excited to be able to put this out. And they show it to me, and I'm like, God, no one's going to buy that. And maybe if they do buy it, there's only be a very small amount of people because it doesn't look good. Geez, we live in like an age where you barely put any kind of content out there and people hate on it because it doesn't look good, right? Like people expect AAA quality almost all the time. And that's even for like the indie games. The ugliest of indie games don't necessarily sell unless they were older. The old, like, Binding of Isaac came out a long time ago, guys. And that game didn't look great, but it looked okay. But back then it was comparable to like the Flash games that were out there. So it wasn't terrible. And it sells okay. But you got Call of Duty, which looks freaking fantastic and makes a ton of money. There might be a correlation between these things. Just saying. So on that note, I remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.